Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 30. I am your host, Patrick Jackman, the host of this show, weekly show. If this is your first time, just thank you for joining us. The 30 is on each week where we feature some exciting guests, where we highlight leaders, entrepreneurs, small business owners, personal and professional development experts, and those that are doing some great things in our community, not just locally, but nationally and internationally. As I said, I am your host. I'm also the founder and principal of the Jackman Group LLC, which is a training and development company. And our primary focus is leadership training and development, team enhancement, business coaching, and organizational strategic planning. Tonight, we have a very special guest. We're going to be talking about leading in the nonprofit sector. I'm excited. My guest, we've talked. Mike and I is Mike Weston. Mike and I have talked, I think probably going on maybe 3 years. And we have never met in person, but we've met, I don't think we've met in person, but we have talked extensively on the phone, online, and I've always admired all the work that Mike is doing in our local community. So I am going to have Mike come on and we're going to have some fun for the next half an hour. Join us. If you have any questions or comments, I ask you to put them in the comments field, in the comments box, and I'll bring them up for Mike. So anything that you have, if you want to say a hi to Mike and just give him a shout out, or if you have any specific questions, feel free to drop them in the comments box. So let's get this party started. Again, we welcome you to the 30. I'm your host, Patrick Jackman. We do this each and every Thursday. So whether you're watching us live or in replay, thank you for watching. We are streaming live right now to Facebook, Twitter, Twitter. Yes, we're streaming live to Twitter as well as to LinkedIn. And we will bring it and replay to YouTube. So tell someone. Make sure that you grab someone right now, share and like this broadcast because we have some very interesting things to talk about. I'm also going to tell you later on about our next Lunch and Learn, but let's bring Mike in. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Patrick. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for joining us. I'm not sure if you heard me earlier, but I was telling our viewers, we've known each other for a number of years, but I don't think we actually met in person.
No, that's right. You didn't know I was this good looking until I jumped on the call earlier tonight. So I guess you saw my picture, but they say I got a face for the radio, so I guess the same for a phone call as well. So
I was like, who's that good looking guy? I was like, oh, there's Mike. That's Mike.
It's the haircuts. A similar haircut got me on the show, so hopefully a good conversation will get me back.
Absolutely. It is open to you. I know we've tried a number of times, but timing was not there. So I want to thank you for taking the time for joining us on the 30. Mike, as you know, today we're going to be talking about leading in the nonprofit sector. Yeah. So tell our viewers about Mike. Who's Mike? What does Mike do? Where does Mike come from? Give us some idea about who Mike is.
Yeah, well, my name is Mike Weston. I currently serve as the executive director of His Branches Incorporated. We're a nonprofit organization located in the 19th Ward of Rochester. We specialize in medical care and community development. So we work to bring the whole person into health in order to see hope, healing, and restoration flourish, not just for the individual, but for our entire community. I came to Rochester about 12 years ago. I was born in Bradford, Pennsylvania, home of the Zippo lighter factory. My dad is a Syracuse alum, so I wasn't born in New York, but New York is in my blood. I grew up most of my life in Missouri, about 3 hours south of St. Louis. So it's grew up in a small town, about 15,000 people.
Wow.
Went to college in Pensacola, Florida, and then served for a time in Massachusetts. I went and met my wife, Michelle. Actually, I met her in Leominster, Massachusetts, just about 45 minutes outside of Boston, where I was a school teacher. I was a basketball coach, athletic director at a Christian school where we met, and then went to seminary in Clark Summit, Pennsylvania. So I have, from the nonprofit sector, I have academics in my background, I have church ministry in my background, and now we can add medical care to it. So about 20 years of a professional career in a variety of roles.
Oh, wow. Wow. So nonprofit is in your blood.
Absolutely. It's been what I even began doing as a teenager, volunteering in our church and beginning to do missions trips around North America. Got started really early, and it hasn't left. So being able to partner with people and help them take their next step, that's what we've been partnering with.
Okay. All right. There's just son in the background, huh?
Oh, yeah. So there's 1 of 3. So I have 3 kids as well. So my wife, Michelle, and I, we've been married for 16 years at this point. So she has her own business as well. She's an artist, hand letter. And then we have 3 kids, 12, 10, and 7.5. So that's kind of our spread for kids. So they all attend the Greek school district at this point.
Awesome. Well, we're live. So as you know, when we're live, anything happens, right? Kids come in, dogs, cats, hey. So Mike, let's talk about.
It happens, right?
Absolutely. Let's talk about some of the things as it relates to leading in a nonprofit sector. What are some of the skills that you think someone needs in order to be an effective leader in that sector?
Yeah, I think I started writing down a bunch of skills that I thought were important for a leader. I think networking is a big piece. The ability to vision cast is important, just to communicate. Entrepreneurial skills, fundraising, human resources. Sometimes I'm the IT department. Sometimes it's facilities. I think ultimately, humility and flexibility, because in reality, you have to be generalist, right? So I think I remember being in a large organization, and my job was to specialize, and I struggled with that to some extent because I knew enough about a lot of things that I could do damage in a lot of areas in a positive way. And so I think jumping into the nonprofit, especially as the executive director, there's days that I'm having interactions with leaders of other nonprofits. Some days we're in meetings with the university systems of hospitals. And then yesterday I helped our neighbor move a stove and an air conditioner. So it's just all kinds of general ways that we can help communities. So I think being a generalist as a nonprofit leader is probably the biggest skills among all of those pieces that you're called to do sometimes on a daily basis.
Now, your organization from a nonprofit side is community based. What is required of a leader with that type of organization?
Yeah, so one of the biggest pieces for us is we are a medical clinic, and so we have multiple agencies that we report to. So we are a New York State Diagnostic Center. So we have Article 28 guidelines. So our facilities have to match the same standards as any other medical facility. So we don't get a free pass because we're a nonprofit. So we have to meet those facility requirements. Sometimes that means we have to do building and make changes to our building, kind of on a drop of a hat. We also report to HRSA. So the Health and Human Services, the arm in which provides the leadership for the federally qualified health centers. And so all of our compliance, our documentation, our reporting, in order for us to receive funding any support from them, it has to be correct. Medicare, Medicaid, insurance companies. Following the rules isn't necessarily my favorite thing as a human being, but it's the thing that I'm tasked to do as the leader of the organization. So sometimes leading myself is the most difficult task that I do as a leader. And
Got
that
it.
is especially true on those compliance issues to the reporting agencies.
So as a leader of a nonprofit, Mike, and especially a community-based nonprofit, what are some of the challenges that you have and other leaders may have?
Yeah, so that's a great question. What are the challenges? For me, I'm the third executive director of his branches. We had Dr. Bill Morehouse, who's the founder, has a fantastic legacy and still lives in the 19th Ward. He's been a big help to me. He's been a resource to me. When we had another executive director, our second one was Jan Thurlby, who helped us gain qualification into the FQHC system. She retired a year ago, last October. So for me, what's been hard is as someone who's stepping into a nonprofit that I didn't start, but there's a history that I'm responsible for honoring, and there's a future that I'm in charge of leading us toward without giving up those things in the past. So as someone who's following in the steps of someone else, I'm like both of the former executive directors, and I'm unlike both of the former executive directors. And as wonderful as both of them are, that can bring challenges and personality. The staff who are behind get used to working with certain people. And now that I come in, it's a whole nother personality. I try to delegate a lot of tasks onto other people, and people are now stretching their wings. And sometimes there's some arguments that happen as a result on our staff because they're stretching their wings and they're saying, like, we need to go to the executive director. So some of the challenges, I think, are just a different personality, a different leader, doing the same mission. That can send staff, that can send donors, and that can even send board members. That can cause concerns, and it's just additional conversations that if you don't have communication skills, you're not able to walk through those. So patience and humility have been really important to me in that area.
So you're basically walking into so-called legends' shoes, right? And the expectation is that the staff that was there wants you to be like this person or these people, but you're not. It's a different person.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And we have very similar thoughts, and we have very different thoughts. And so some people get used to okay, you think just like him, and then other times it's you think differently than them. And most of those times they're neither right or wrong. It's the personality and the preference, and where are we now in 2021 versus where are we when you started in 1978, or where are you in 1980, or late 2000s, so or late teens. So I respect the leaders that we've had. They've built a great foundation for our organization, and I think the challenge that I have is making sure that I honor them. And that's easy to do. But when you disagree, that can become a little bit harder and to lead in that right direction. So I'm thankful that they're both kind people and they both speak into my life, and that we're able to, in some ways, have their wisdom of their experience passed along to me, because I don't want to give away ages to anyone, but I'm probably half their age. So, and they created a system where I'm following in their footsteps, but I can never fill their shoes. And so sometimes that's a challenge.
Right. Okay. That's I can imagine that being a challenge in terms of you having your own personality, but the expectations is that Mike Weston will operate similar to the other two directors that were before you. Mike, let's talk about some of the benefits. What would you say some of the benefits of leading a nonprofit in a nonprofit sector?
Yeah, for me, it's the relationships. Sometimes we see the city of Rochester, and Rochester is this amazing place. There's lots of restaurants, there's tourism, there's professional sports. So there's many positive things going for our city, but then there's also a lot of heartache, right? Crime can be high in certain areas. There's people who are angry, divisive, families that are hurting. And sometimes I was telling someone the other day that we have a tendency to think that there's nothing happening within the neighborhoods in the city, that there's this gap of work. And so the relationships to meet people like you, Pastor Bernard, the people at Enon, I think Phyllis Jackson at IHMC, Common Ground, NAMI Rochester. There are so many groups led by a variety of people, faith and non-faith alike, that are already working together, that we don't need 50 new nonprofits to come into the city. But at some point, we need to leverage the voices that are already there in order to do that together. So I think for me, the relationships of finding those people who are already doing the work, getting to know them and their passion for our community, and then saying, I don't have to have answers, but I have energy and I have questions, and put me to use however like you think that we can serve you. So I love getting to know the organizations. I love getting to know the individuals in charge of those organizations. And then I've loved having the opportunity to bring my social network in order to partner with what is already happening, and not taking over or taking control, but to say, we're just one piece of the network that's already serving this community toward hope, healing, and reconciliation for our entire community. So that's been a big and favorite aspect for me.
Great. Mike, we're going to take a 30-second break. And when we come back, I want to talk about where do you see yourself next personally? And where do you see the organization that you're leading? Where do you see that going? And then at the end, we'll just have a little fun.
Okay.
All right. 30 seconds, and we'll be right back. We are talking to Mike Weston under 30, and we are speaking. Our topic tonight is leading in the nonprofit sector. This is the 30 with your host, Patrick Jackman. Mike, we were talking earlier about the benefits of working in the nonprofit sector. And let's continue our conversation in the time that we have left. What is next for Mike, and where does Mike see himself going first and foremost?
Yeah, what's next for Mike? That's a great question. I think what's next for me is making sure that his branches is set up for success for the next 40 years. I think when I entered into the organization a couple of years ago, it was at a difficult time in the organization's history, and we were able to bring some individuals in. We were able to make some changes, and we were able to take steps forward for sustainability. So again, we have a 40+ year history of doing work in the community, and I think that's what we want to do. Is for Mike wants to set the organization up for that next 40 years. Okay. And whether I'm there for 10 or 20 years or 40 years, I want to set the organization up so that eventually I can step out and the organization can succeed without me. I'd love for us, we're currently working to make sure that we have diversity within the organization, but we especially want greater diversity, both ethnically and economic diversity at the upper end of the organization. So that's a personal opinion for me, is to make sure that we can demonstrate the ethnic diversity that we see in the kingdom of God in Revelation 7, people from every nation, tribe, and tongue around God's throne. We want to do that exact same thing at his branches in order to see other people do that. So that's my personal passion, is to demonstrate racial reconciliation in our organization. And I hope that as a result of my passions, my interest, that we're able to do that in order to set ourselves up for the long-term future.
Great. Mike, who does his branches serve? What's the clients that you serve?
Yeah, That's a great question. So we currently have 3,000 patients.
Oh, wow.
We do about 7,000. Yeah, we do about 7,000 visits a year. We serve the communities of the 19th Ward. That's where the majority of our patients are. And then we also have a smaller clinic in Beechwood community.
Okay.
So we serve two of the most ethnically and economically diverse communities in Rochester. We serve those that are typically uninsured, underinsured, and publicly insured. So currently 60% of our patients are Medicare, Medicaid patients. We have about 5% that are completely uninsured, which we work to help them become insured. So most people we serve are those who live around us. And then that also means, again, where we're located in Beechwood in the 19th Ward, 60% of our patients are Black and African American. About 8% are Latino. And then we have like a mix of Asian population. We have a mix of white population, non-Hispanic. And so that's kind of the makeup. So we serve those who are within walking distance, within a short bus ride to our locations.
That's fantastic. And when Mike says the 19th Ward in Beechwood, if you are from Rochester, you would know where they are, but we know that this broadcast goes worldwide. So that's in Rochester, New York. So I just want to let you know that.
Yeah, that's really helpful.
Mike, so we know that nonprofits sometimes suffer when it comes to financing. Where does your financing come from?
Yeah, that's a great question. We like to describe it in buckets. So we have three major buckets that we receive funding. One is for patient service. For those who have insurance, obviously we receive finances that come back for the patient visit. So we have insurance payers, Medicaid, Excellus, MVP. We have the payers that come through. Then we also have grants and public funding. So for this year, we just signed a contract with Finger Lakes Performing Provider System. And that's going to allow us to add one behavioral health care team for the Spanish-speaking community. So they're helping to provide a grant for us to add a provider, a nurse, a front-end staff worker, and to help us translate our website into Spanish in order to provide care to the Latino community, kind of in the north part of Rochester, right? So that South Market View Heights, the 14621 in the Beechwood community. So kind of on the northern end of downtown Rochester. So we have grants, the payers, and then thirdly, we have donors. So those are one of our favorite people to connect with, is people who have a passion for what we're doing and have an interest in seeing hope, healing, and reconciliation go forward. And for donors, we typically don't take their money and put it into paying for doctors' salaries, but we use their finances for patient assistance. So if someone can't afford medicine, or if they can't get a car ride, we'll use that to pay off those pieces to help patients get to appointments. If someone needs food, we'll help utilize it for that. So most of the donor money goes to building, finances. We're not paying doctor salaries with that, but we're trying to support the work that we're doing on the front lines.
That's awesome, Mike. Great. Mike, I want to thank you so very much. If someone wants to get a hold of you or the organization, let's say if someone wants to give funds or donate funds, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, thanks for asking that. We for donations, you can hop right on our website, hisbranches.org, and there's a donate button right on the top right side. You can give a one-time gift, or you could jump into our recurring donor club. We call it Roots. You can help us go deep and help us branch out by going deep in our monthly recurring giving called Roots. So that's the easiest way to get a hold of us for donations. We obviously accept checks, cash. If someone wanted to mail those to 340 Arnett Boulevard, Rochester, New York, 14619, you could make it to the attention of Mike Weston, and we'll get it into the hands of our finance guy. So that's two ways to receive.
It is hisbranches.org?
Hisbranches.org.
Okay. All right. And I'll put that in our chat here so that everyone can see it. Let's hope that I spell it correctly.
if it's not, we'll have the trolls come out and make some corrections on the backside, I'm sure.
There you go. There you go. Mike,
No.
before we end the show, we always have a couple of minutes of what we call rapid fire. And what this does is this helps our viewers get to know our guests on a more friendly level, right? Someone asks you just a couple of questions here, and real quick, if you can respond, and then we will wrap it up. And if anyone has any comments or questions for Mike, well, go ahead and put it in the comments field, and we'll make sure that Mike answers them before he leaves. Or if you just want to say shout out to Mike, then that's fine too. Mike, what is the last leadership book that you've read? And I know we had this, I put that out there on LinkedIn, I think like a month ago, and you responded, and the author responded. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Boy, Les McCown, who responded that day, he is one of my favorite writers. I just love his thoughts on leadership. But the last book I read was actually just a small book on building teams. It's called Do Teams, and it's by Charlie Gladstone. He's an entrepreneur from the United Kingdom. And in that book, I just love that he talked about, as a leader, that it's other people's stress is our problems. Is that if people in my organization are having a difficult time, part of my responsibility is to help them manage that stress. And then I just love his challenge of pay better and praise better. So two things to make sure that we're getting the most out of our employees as far as investing into them as human beings. So those are just a couple things. Small book, Do Team by Charlie Gladstone was a great read.
Do Team. That sounds like a great book in terms of, if you're not investing in your people, if you're not telling them thank you and appreciate them as a leader, then you need to really reassess your leadership skills and abilities. Right. Mike, what is your favorite movie?
Oh, I wish I could say it was something like Citizen Kane or Casablanca. I wish I could go something really classy. But my favorite movie is a movie I saw in high school, and I'll pop it on every once in a while. But Monty Python and the Holy Grail, just the humor of the humor of the Brits gets me every time. So it's slapstick, but I can't help but enjoy it.
All right, I think we may have a UK contingent on LinkedIn that views the 30. So
wow, that's great. So that's a shout out. That's a shout out. I love that. That'll work for them. What's so you're the host, but what's your favorite movie?
The Titans. Return of the. It's not.
Remember the Titans.
Remember the Titans with Denzel Washington.
Yes,
love that movie. That is my favorite.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So many messages from that movie.
Right.
So many messages. Good. Mike, what's your favorite quote as we end?
Oh, my favorite quote. This is one I read in college. Blaise Pascal, right? Scientist, Christian philosopher, once said, "All men seek happiness, even those who, hang themselves." And that's a little bit morbid for the mental health days that we're in, but it's interesting to me to just think through that people want what people want, and they'll do it even if it means harm. And so sometimes that just keeps me on our team with our medical team and on our faith team saying, we do this in order to help people make right choices. We can't make them happy, but we can help put better decisions in front of them.
Sure. Awesome. And last, Mike, favorite place to vacation?
Oh, I love Atlanta, Georgia. I had a call with someone from today, and I love the food in Atlanta. I love the flexibility and even being able to just drive over to Tybee Island a few hours away for a beach time. That's a great spot. So Atlanta's my favorite spot to hit up.
So you like the ATL, huh?
I do. Someday I want to get to Dubai. Hopefully there's a Dubai contingent watching to give me some plane tickets.
Dubai.
That's a hit list.
Yeah.
But
I would like to go there sometime. Dubai. Yeah.
Okay. I'm glad I'm not alone.
Nope, not alone. Not alone. Mike, I want to thank you so very much. This was fantastic. This is an open invitation. Anytime that you want to come back, feel free. I'm sure that we will be talking in the weeks and months and the years to come. So thank you. Thank your wife and your kids. Say hi to them and all the staff and the board at his branches. So thank you so much, Mike.
Awesome. Thank you for having me, and thank you for everything you do to leverage your skills and talents and passion and faith for the community. You're truly a gift. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. Well, we've been talking to Mike Weston of his branches. He's the executive director there. And our topic today was leading in the nonprofit sector. So I hope this was enjoyable. I hope that you took some nuggets away from Mike. If you want to see Mike or contact him, or if you have some funds that you want to donate to his branches, contact them at hisbranches.org. That is already in the chat. And until, we want to thank you for another wonderful Thursday. If you're watching it live, if you're watching it in replay, thank you, thank you, thank you. So that's about it. We have next week, we have another guest that you don't want to miss. And just a reminder, for those that attend or want to attend our Lunch and Learn, we do our Lunch and Learn the second Tuesday of each month. So the next one is coming up on October 12th, I believe. Tuesday, October 12th. And our topic is going to be microaggressions in the workplace. And we have Dr. Duckworth, and she'll be coming in and she'll be talking about that specific topic, microaggressions in the workplace. So get on our list, go to jackmangroupllc.com and hit join our community, and you'll be on our list in order to join us. It is for leaders, prospective leaders, entrepreneurs, small business owners, and you maybe just want to join us and get some information. It is all about connection, inspiration, and development. So make sure you go to jackmangroupllc.com, hit join our community, and you'll be part of that. And we will send you some information out about our next Lunch and Learn and about more events that are coming up. All right, that's about it. Thank you so very much. Have a fantastic evening, night, morning, wherever you are. May God bless you and your family. Be safe. We're out. Peace.